It helps if you unmute, and thankfully, Zoom will tell you, hey, you're muted. So let's try that again. Good morning again, friends. And welcome to this live in which we continue our reading of the Gospel according to Luke. Please do take a moment to post a greeting, share a comment, let us know that you're here with us. And thank you, friends, for being with us. And I encourage you to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not done so yet, and feel free to share this content and any of the content on the channel. Well, friends, Luke. You know how we always start this. Take a look at the big picture. Here we are. The Gospel of Luke in a visual presentation. There's a lot to take in there, I know. There's a lot that happens in these 24 chapters, of which at present we have read 7, and we are in the midst of the 8th chapter. And so we are nearing the end of this portion, Jesus and his mission, which began at the opening of chapter 3 and goes into chapter 9, so fairly significantly into chapter 9. Up through and including what is referred to here as Jesus's transformation. More commonly referred to as the transfiguration, which I will admit is the language that I prefer, because to be transfigured feels to me to be more of a change in appearance, where to be transformed feels more like a change in substance. And I think it's pretty important to say, in that moment that brings this portion to a close, that Jesus was not changed. The change is in the ability for those 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John, to see what has always been in the one whom they have come to know as their rabbi, things that they could not see in him and of him until that moment. All right. So let's pull up the reading windows. Good morning, Linda. Chapter 8, verse 18. That's where we resume this morning. I will be reading from the left-hand column, which is the New Living Translation. The right-hand column has the text as found in the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. And I may not make reference to that right-hand column, or I may. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. See how this goes. So Luke, chapter 8, verse 18. I'm not sure if we'll finish this section and get all the way through the transfiguration or not, but, well, we'll see. We continue in our reading of Luke. So pay attention to how you hear. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. But for those who are not listening, even what they think they understand will be taken away from them. Then Jesus' mother and brothers came to see him. But they couldn't get to him because of the crowd. Someone told Jesus, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside, and they want to see you." Jesus replied, "My mother and my brothers are all those who hear God's word and obey it." One day, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and started out. As they sailed across, Jesus settled down for a nap. But soon a fierce storm came down on the lake. The boat was filling with water, and they were in real danger. The disciples went and woke him up, shouting, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. Suddenly the storm stopped, and all was calm. Then he asked them, "Where is your faith?" The disciples were terrified and amazed. "Who is this man?" they asked each other. "When he gives a command, even the wind and waves obey him." So they arrived in the region of the Gerasenes across the lake from Galilee. As Jesus was climbing out of the boat, a man who was possessed by demons came out to meet him. For a long time he had been homeless and naked, living in the tombs outside the town. As soon as he saw Jesus, he shrieked and fell down in front of him. Then he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Please, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already commanded the evil spirit to come out of him. The spirit had taken control of him, had taken control of the man. Even when he was placed under guard and put in chains and shackles, he simply broke them and rushed out into the wilderness, completely under the demon's power. Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, for he was filled with many demons. The demons kept begging Jesus not to send them into the bottomless pit. There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby, and the demons begged him to let them enter into the pigs. So Jesus gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd plunged down the steep hillside into the lake and drowned. When the herdsmen saw it, they fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been freed from the demons. He was sitting at Jesus' feet, fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Then those who had seen what happened told the others how the demon-possessed man had been healed. And all the people in the region of the Gerasenes begged Jesus to go away and leave them alone, for a great wave of fear swept over them. So Jesus returned to the boat and left, crossing back to the other side of the lake. The man who had been freed from the demons begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him home, saying, "No, go back to your family and tell them everything God has done for you." So he went all through the town proclaiming the great things Jesus had done for him. Let's just pause momentarily, friends. We started with the disciples wondering, who is this? And this man possessed by demons, living among the tombs, a place of uncleanness, outside of Israel, surrounded by pigs. Hello. Uncleanness, uncleanness, uncleanness. He's the one that gets it. And the demons, too. Interesting little thing to keep in mind. Which is all the more why I said at the very beginning, it's not transformation. There's nothing that changed in Jesus. What changes is the ability of those in front of him to see what is in front of them. Let's keep reading verse 40. On the other side of the lake, the crowds welcomed Jesus because they had been waiting for him. Then a man named Jairus, a leader of the local synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come home with him. His only daughter, who was about 12 years old, was dying. As Jesus went with him, he was surrounded by the crowds. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding, and she could find no cure. Coming up behind Jesus, she touched the fringe of his robe. Immediately, the bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. Everyone denied it. Peter said, "Master, this whole crowd is pressing against you." But Jesus said, "Someone deliberately touched me, for I felt healing power go out from me." When the woman realized that she could not stay hidden, she began to tremble and fell to her knees in front of him. The whole crowd heard her explain why she had touched him and that she had been immediately healed. "Daughter," he said to her, "your faith has made you well. Go in peace." While he was still speaking to her, a messenger arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. He told him, "Your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now." But when Jesus heard what had happened, he said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just have faith, and she will be healed." When they arrived at the house, Jesus wouldn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, James, and the little girl's father and mother. The house was filled with people weeping and wailing, but he said, "Stop the weeping. She isn't dead. She's only asleep." But the crowd laughed at him because they knew she had died. Then Jesus took her by the hand and said in a loud voice, "My child, get up." And at that moment her life returned and she immediately stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were overwhelmed, but Jesus insisted that they not tell anyone what had happened. That, friends, is where we are going to pause. And next time we'll start chapter 9. Can you imagine being those parents? Overwhelmed, astounded. Somehow I have a feeling that neither one of those words quite captures the sentiments and reactions of, but our 12-year-old daughter isn't dead anymore? And what do you mean that the one who did this is telling us, don't tell anyone? Powerful story. Good morning, Audrey. Friends, thank you for joining us as we have read this morning. Next time that we pick up the Gospel of Luke, we'll start chapter 9. Have a blessed Friday. Peace be with you, now and always, dear friends.